There we go. Good evening, everyone. Today is September 21st, 2021. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to see yet another day, oh God. We thank you, God, for your mercy. We thank you, God, for your grace. Most of God, thank you for your love. God, we thank you for our family members and the ones that's in our support group, oh God. I ask you, God, that you will bless everyone that views this broadcast. Let this information be beneficial to them as well as their families, oh God. I ask you, God, that you would keep and protect everyone that's going through, whether they're going through emotions, where they have suffered a loss of a family member or friend, or just something mental. We ask you, God, that you would just comfort and keep your people. We ask all these things in the name of Jesus. We pray. Amen. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Tonight we're gonna get into the importance and the benefits of having insurance. And I got a good friend come on and tell you about all of that kind of stuff. As usual, in opening up, I want to say happy born day again to beautiful Nicole. Went to elementary school with, girl. Happy born day again. My cousin Christopher Daughtry, Tasha Green, Bishop Leroy Jackson Willard as well. My girl Mo. Happy born day again, Monique. Beautiful Toy Campbell. Happy born day, Toy. My man Jim. My man Ratney Johnson, back at the airport days. Happy born day, bro. My number one dude from high school, Edward Wilson, Dr. Wilson, who's been on the show previously. Happy born day again. To the lineman, big bro, number 59, Marco Moody, who celebrated. My cousin Erica Campbell, who had her born day. Then today we have the beautiful Renee Danford, who I know from Little Rock, Arkansas, my family out there. Happy born day, girl.
Home state.
Yeah, my aunt Joe Retta Brown, love you, Aunt Joe. Happy born day, my little bro Chris Adams, and my main man here right here in Raleigh, North Carolina, Big Black Carl Merritt. Happy born day, bro. Um, I want to give my condolences to the Rawson family who suffered loss on this previous week. We had the memorial service yesterday for cousin Booger. Um, Thank you for all the memories and the family. It's times like this where we need to come together and love on one another and be there for one another and be that support group to everybody. I want to say rest in peace again as well to Tupac. It's 25 years since we lost Tupac Shakur. I want to say happy anniversary to Biggie Smalls, Ready to Die, dropped 27 years ago this past week. 27 years, that's crazy.
I was
And
in
also,
college.
yeah, also a big rest in peace to AJ Johnson. Everybody remember him from as Ezel from the movies Friday, who passed away over the weekend. I want to give my heart condolences to him and his family as well. Thanks for all the laughs, bro. He was one of the funny ones that go way back. He go way back. 55 years old, man. So rest in peace to AJ Johnson. Want to give a big ups to Scarface. Oh man, I forgot to write his name down. The Scarface son and donating his kidney to Scarface. We hope you have a speedy recovery, Scarface. Get well so you can keep on dropping that music that we love to rock to. But shout out to your son for doing that for you. And I hope both of you guys heal and recover well. Um, I also want to say congratulations to Mark Turner, whose daughter got married today to Danny McGlover. God bless your union, and I want to I want to say happy wedding day to you guys on today, and then over the weekend. I want to say happy congratulations to my oldest son DeAndre and the beautiful Legina on becoming the Bennetts on this past Saturday. Proud of you, son. Keep on doing what you do. I know that I love you, and welcome to the family, Regina. Um, what else did I have? Trying to think of what else I had. Okay, so as you guys are coming in as usual, if you want to, if you don't mind, you could go over to you could share. I ask that you share the page this post to your page so that your friends can see it as well. Like I said, I think we're gonna get some good information out there on tonight. Um, I want to also say that if you don't mind, also go ahead and begin subscribing on YouTube. Sign into your YouTube account and go ahead and start subscribing to the Marvin Bennett Jr. Show channel. I created a channel, and it's about 45% ready. But what you could do is I want you guys to go ahead and begin to start subscribing. Have your family, your friends go on YouTube, sign in, subscribe to the channel, and go ahead and let's start getting some of those views up. I've already uploaded maybe 20 shows, 20 previous shows in order that we did them. So from the very first show, like the first 20 shows, they're on YouTube, and you can find that again at the Marvin Bennett Jr. Show on YouTube. And thanks for all you guys that's been supporting me and rocking with me from day one, turning this into something that's special, something that's dear to my heart. What's good, Bev? Thanks for tuning in as usual. All right, so tonight we want to I'm gonna get to my guest. I got one question, but I'm gonna go ahead and introduce him officially. This is a cat that we go back for a minute now. I actually consider him family. Him and my cousin, Big Tone, J.U. Ice, Ant used to rock together back in the Jayville days, Jacksonville, North Carolina. And one of the coldest ballers. I ain't saying it because he is, but one of the coldest ballers to come out of the city of Jacksonville. But by way of Arkansas. So we gonna get into that a little bit. That whole family dynamic of how we both connected to North Carolina and Arkansas. But tonight I got on tonight's show, I got my man Steve Marshall, who's filled in. I made the post earlier because the guests for tonight that I previously had scheduled, they canceled on me last minute, and he hit me up, put me in, coach. What time we go?
Put me in the game, coach.
and I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, just filling in like this is and doing what we do. And I thank you in advance too for wanting to do this, because I think it's important that our people know the benefits and the importance of having life insurance, the different types of insurance. You know, I want you to help educate us like an insurance for dummy class tonight. You know what I mean? And just tell it what it is that we need, whatever. But before we get to the insurance, one of the viewers asked me in the question earlier when on a post that I made, was we gonna do the show tonight or not? She was like, the one question I was gonna do was some Q's and A's, and of course, as usual, you guys feel free to leave your comments and your questions for myself or tonight's guest in the comment section, and we'll get to them as we go throughout the show. But one of the questions was, she asked me, she said her and one of her clients were talking, and they were wondering, why do men cheat? And I asked her, I said, why would you ask me something like that? Like, how would I know why men cheat? You know, being funny. But that's something that to answer your question real quick before we really kick the show off, I don't really think that there's a correct answer for that, because anybody that does cheat, they cheat for different reasons. You know what I mean? It's many different reasons that you cheat. And I don't like the way it's questioned. Why? I like when we ask, why do people cheat?
Right,
not men.
It's all on the man. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when I was a cheater, no longer I'm redeemed. But when I was a cheater, I was cheating, but I ain't never cheat I ain't never been with no man, which means that I was with a woman who is by association, she cheating as well. You know what I mean? So I think
willing participant.
Exactly, because there ain't no raping going on here. You know what I'm saying? So I think that what's good, Ty? Ty tuning in, yo. Tawanda from Jayville.
A word?
Yeah, she just checked in. What's good, Ty? But yeah, I don't think that is a such thing as why do people cheat. People cheat for different reasons. When I did cheat, when I was a cheater, I always said I think that it was one of the dumbest things that I ever did, because to answer your question, in my situation, I didn't have a reason. I just did it. Like, just because I could, it wasn't no reason. It wasn't no rhyme and reason to the decision that I made. And that's what really broke me down as a man or on the inside when it happened, because it was like, dude, what was even a point? What was the purpose? Like, it'd have been different if I wasn't getting love at home or whatever the case may be, or I needed some attention from somebody different. I didn't have none of those no particular reason. I just did it just like Nike. I just did it. Like, and so it's not always no rhyme or reason, and it's not something that I'm proud of, but that was just my truth. So I don't know how many cheaters out there want to comment in the section why they cheat, but y'all can feel free to do that if you want to. Did you want to hit that, Steve, while we moved on?
Nah, I believe that one ain't no. I will say this. I think men's feelings are overlooked in a lot of situations.
Absolutely.
Because we are not supposed to have feelings, because we are men. They're supposed to be tough and this, that, and that. And a lot of times you can't talk to that person because that's going to be used later on. You know what I mean? So it's like this sticky, weird place. And I just think, first of all, we got into this and we got ourselves out of this. Now, I know every situation is different and different things happen, but it takes two to tango. You know what I mean? So if your man can't talk to you, he can go talk to somebody else.
Absolutely.
If your female can't talk to you,
vice versa. Yeah.
And sometimes while you talking, you develop a different type of relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it spins off into other things. So, I just think women should really understand that we have feelings too,
Yeah, absolutely.
And stuff like that. So, but that's all I'm gonna do on that. So
yeah, and I'm gonna definitely have you back on, man, because I want to dig a little deep. I think that's like a whole show in itself. I was working on this sermon one time called like this demasculating masculinity, and kind of defining what masculinity is, because I think a lot of times, even as men, we confused about, you know what I mean, man, I'm a punk if I really tell people how I feel, if I cry, and all these different things. And it's like, that's only reality if you choose to accept it that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I feel like I need to talk to Steve, yo, man, listen, man, she broke my heart and this here and that thing, I'm no punk for doing that. I'm doing what's best for me psychologically, because the more we hold on to stuff start to erupt just like a volcano.
I will say this, and this kind of leads into the insurance topic, but I had a friend that died of cancer, right? And he didn't share this information.
Wow.
Now, I would imagine he was a big guy, you know what I'm saying? So with the type of cancer that he had, I would imagine he was not the same dude that I was used to seeing in college.
Gotcha.
But he suffered in silence. Because I would have came to see him if I would have knew that he was sick.
Absolutely.
By the time I found out, it was already a wrap. You know what I mean? So, and I hate it because he missed out on all the people that he didn't even know
was really behind him and rocking with him. You know what I mean? We was right here. You ain't have to go through that by yourself. You chose to go through that alone.
Right. So it not only is the issue in relationships, it's the issue in general. If I'm struggling, I feel like a punk or whatever to call my boy and tell him, because that's what friends are for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
that's what friends should be for.
Right.
Not to be yes man corners like everybody wants to be nowadays. Like, people don't like real true friendship no more. But hey, so look, Bev said cheating causes a need for the insurance policy to be definitely be current.
Well, if you kill somebody, you're not gonna get the insurance money. You're probably not gonna get away with it. So Control Alt delete that statement right there. Stretch it with the pinky. Stretch it with the pinky.
Yeah, man. So before we really get into all the insurance, let me ask you, how did you go? How did you get into insurance?
Well, before me and my wife got married, we were trying to figure out who was going to move, right? She was in New Jersey and I was in Jacksonville. So I went to a job fair and she went to a job fair in each other's town.
Okay.
I remember it was like 17 years ago. I said, man, it was nothing but insurance companies. Ain't nobody selling no doggone insurance.
Wow.
So never say never, because 17 years later, I've been a licensed insurance agent since 2004. So, and when you talk about, well, the type of person that I am, I can't talk about things that I don't have with any common knowledge. So, hey, you still there, dog?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So, I really got into it, and then I started looking at my situation. I'm like, I'm talking to this person about insurance, and I don't have any insurance. So I'm the type person that me and you playing Madden and you beating me all the time. When you leave, I'm making up plays and, I'm very detailed. So once I got into it, I started trying to fix the issues that I had, and it's easier to tell somebody why you bought something than read some script that somebody wrote that don't even sell. So I like to think of myself as more of an educator, because if I put you on the same plane as me, then you're going to make the best decision for you. And all I got to do is guide you and show you the X's and O's. You know what I mean? So I get the enjoyment out of turning on that light bulb. Like, oh, this how that stuff works. Oh, for real? Those aha moments.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, man, dude, you said a mouthful right there, man, because I know that ain't really your thing, but man, I'll be like, if we could get more preachers, we're not gonna really get into that, but if we could get more preachers to have that mindset, what a difference the Black community would be, society would be, if they would be like, you know what, I'm gonna be a first partaker of my word, of the words that I preach, and I'm out here teaching people. If I'm a first partaker of that, you know what I mean? Follow me, like my bishop that I grew up under. He would tell us, listen, follow me as I follow Christ. If you don't see me following Christ, don't follow me. You know what I'm saying? So it's that level of accountability. So I get it totally what you're saying. Like, you as an athlete, we have a difficult time playing for a coach that has never played the same as we know that somebody that done played and was good at it.
I could give a really good speech about what it feels like to have a baby. I could do all the research in the world and I could knock that speech out.
Mm-hmm.
But every woman in there is going to be like,
man, if you don't sit down somewhere.
So you kind of, only a person who's been in a situation that you haven't been in can guide you through what you don't know. And my father always said, you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know what that meant back then, but I know now.
Yeah.
So, and it's a lot that we don't know. And I get a thrill out of educating people, because once they take reins of it, then it's over. It is over for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so you say how you get, and that's another reason why I now realize why I like wifey so much, because she a Jersey girl. Can't go wrong with a Jersey girl, man. I'm biased.
Right.
All right, so you went to the job fair, and you said, man, this is some BS. So at what point did it go from ain't nobody selling insurance to, man, you know what? I think I really want to give this a try.
Needing a job.
Got you.
And was trying to you know, in a relationship, you might date a girl and you mess it up, and then you go get a girl that's similar to that girl.
Mm-hmm.
When I lost my job at Foot Locker, I was only trying to get shoe jobs.
Gotcha.
You know
That
what
was
I
the
mean?
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I felt comfortable.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, but my dad always said, you're not at your job to learn to make money. You're at your job to learn the skill set for your next job. So Foot Locker really gave me the people skills to be able to do what I'm doing now.
Gotcha. I make a
You
lot
know
of
what I mean?
sense. Yeah.
Because white people, black people, Spanish people, everybody was coming at me, and I had to deal with each of them in a certain way.
Accordingly, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, so that's how and I was horrible because I couldn't, they want to role play, and I couldn't role play because I hadn't done it. You know what I mean? Like they were training me, and it just didn't make sense. So the first company, I was horrible. But I would go on appointments with the guy who's supposed to be training me, and the person that he's talking to ain't really getting what he's saying.
Okay.
So I come in and he upset, but he made the sale.
Yeah.
Not off of what he did, but how I took what he was saying and transposed it and put it in a different situation so they could look at it differently. Same philosophy or same premise, but I just moved the location of how he was breaking it down.
Gotcha.
So and I had that certain skill set, and then I started to really think about it and think about not that I'm selling insurance, is that I'm in control of my time.
Gotcha.
Because that's what I really wanted, you know what I'm saying, is to be in control of my time. If my daughter has a recital, I don't have to ask somebody else, can I go do this? Can I go on lunch? Can I go to the bathroom? I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So no, I'm not gonna ask you anything. So then I had to work up enough nerve to jump off the cliff, because strictly commission, it's feast or famine.
Gotcha.
So
now, how hard was it for you to make that transition? You said you bombed at the first place. To say I'm going from, you know what I mean, from bombing to doing okay to thinking I can really do this thing. Like what made you say, I'm gonna go out here and start my own thing?
I had okay.
Not what made you do it, but how hard was that?
It was extremely hard because do you remember the scene from Batman, The Dark Knight, when no, better yet, Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
Right? The guy who was breaking the wall down and taking bits and pieces of it at a time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when he got to the tube of doo-doo, not many people are gonna crack that tube open.
Yeah.
And get in that tube.
And you're doing stay on grind, stay focused. Right.
So basically, I always had a part-time job because my dad always worked 2 jobs. But what I was doing, I was handicapping myself. So if the insurance wasn't working, I would lean on the pizza because I used to deliver pizzas. So I still got the problem. I just avoided it because I'm still an insurance agent, but I'm not fixing the problem. I'm just avoiding it. So once I quit my pizza job, shout out to Mike Lazaria at Lazaria's Pizza. I quit that. And I think Steve Harvey said, when you jump off the cliff, you're going to get bruised up, banged up, but you're going to live. But the key is you got to jump. So I had to not have any crutches, and I had to strictly focus on this insurance thing completely.
Gotcha.
So A lot of people, when they need money, they go get a second job. You need to increase your knowledge so you can make more money.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Understand?
Yeah. And like you said, to everybody, that's one of the comments. Bev said it's a gift. Everybody can sell successfully, not the doo-doo. But yeah, man, it's like everybody's not always willing to sacrifice what's necessary to become the greatest version of them, because we like comfort.
Right. And once I realized the only person I was in competition with was myself.
Made it easy. It's a cakewalk.
Because that is the biggest fight.
Yeah.
With you. You know what I'm saying? So if I can convince myself that I can do this, well, I already knew I could do it. I just had to convince everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because once I came up with the plan, so how I started the Marshall Group started 2 years ago. My father had cancer and he ended up passing away in 2014, but he had a cancer plan that he got from the school system, which paid us 50 grand. So for 2 years, I got to kick it with my dad. Okay. The only problem we had was where you want to eat. Well, where you want to eat? You're the one with cancer. You know, so, but I didn't have how I'm going to pay this bill, how I'm going to pay that bill. You know, so it was a different story. So granted, my dad died and it sucked, but it was the best 2 years of my life. 8 years prior to that, my dad told me that I should start my own insurance company. I'm like, man, you crazy. You know how much money that costs? I was the idiot because it only cost $128. So
you said $228?
$128.
Wow.
To start my own company. So, you know, I wasn't ready to hear it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the sad part is I didn't investigate what he said. I just went off what I knew, which was nothing. So my dad ends up dying, but like 6 months before he died, I got a call from a lady, Lynn McLeod from Colonial Life. And she said she was on vacation in Florida and she saw my resume and God told her to call me.
Wow. Now,
my father laying in the other room dying of cancer. I'm laying in the room with the light off. And, so I sit up on the bed. She tell me that she was with Colonial for 30 years. And I was like, 30 years with the same company? She was like, yeah. And then she explained to me what they were doing. But just so happened, I was benefiting from the same type of policies that I would be selling. So once I started to put my mind to work, I always put myself in the person who's struggling situation to see how I would handle it. It's just, I always do that. From Popeye and Pluto, I would always be Pluto. How can I beat this fool? You know what I mean? Because every time I get my head tore up. So that's just how my mind works. So my father had, luckily my father got cancer because, and I said luckily, because all he had was $10,000 worth of life insurance and a cancer plan. So if he'd have had an accident, I couldn't take 2 years off of work. If he'd had a heart attack or a stroke, I couldn't have took 2 years off of work. So I took what he had and what he didn't have, and I devised the plan. And I started to implement that plan in my own personal life. Mm-hmm. 4 years later, I had a stroke. I just celebrated my 3rd year after my stroke. I call it the stroke cane because I had the stroke during Hurricane Flo.
Wow.
Okay. So I had disability, which covered my paycheck. I had accident, which covers outside trauma. I had critical illness, which covers heart attack, stroke, kidney failure. And I had cancer, which covers cancer, and life insurance. And I had the medical bridge, which covers hospital stays. So I had the stroke and I was in the hospital for 5 days. I got paid 10 grand because I had the stroke. The way I structured it, and I did it on purpose, was the only reason I go to work is for a paycheck. So if they stop paying me, I'm not going to show up to work. So the paycheck is the reason why I come. So that's the most important benefit that we offer is disability, because it covers your money, or like the young cats say, it covers the bag. So I cover my paycheck, and there are only two things that are going to take me out, right? There's a song that says there's 6 million ways to die, but you can't plan for 6 million problems, but you can make it very general. It's either coming from the outside or it's coming from the inside, right? So the accident plan covers outside trauma. And if that trauma causes me not to be able to work, then my disability covers my paycheck. So now I'm getting 2 checks. Critical illness, I had a stroke, they paid me 10 grand. That stroke caused me not to work for 6 months. My disability kicked in, and because I was in the hospital, my medical bridge paid me because I was in the hospital. So I roughly got like 20 grand. Now, I hired a personal trainer. I hired an assistant to make my phone calls because I still have a business. Right?
Yeah.
I did all that. 6 months after my stroke, I incorporated the Marshall Group for $128. All right, no, 9 months. Sorry, 9 months. And then I tried to make it happen, but it didn't happen. But we bought a house 12 months, 12 to probably a year after I had the stroke. So November. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never heard of anybody taking the 2-piece in the biscuit from the universe and surviving physically and financially. And the only reason that happened was because of the way I structured my insurance policy, because the devil is in the detail.
Gotcha.
So,
All right, so let's start to get into some of the meat of that. Well, first I had a question for you too, because I noticed that you said that his insurance paid one thing and then it was a cancer plan. First, what's the difference between it? What's the actual difference between the two?
Okay, so a cancer policy, the policy that my father had, it paid. The cancer policy is structured so these are indemnity policies, so they pay the person who owns the policy. Your car insurance pays the person who fixes your car. Your health insurance pays the doctor. Voluntary benefits, which you get from your employer most of the time, if you ever sit down and talk to the benefit counselor when they came, and we as Black people have a very, very bad time at.
I got something else to do.
Yeah. So they pay you. So the cancer plan, every time my father went to chemo, that was a certain amount of money that he would get. And he did chemo 2 or 3 times a week, right? So my mother would file a claim and they would send us a check. So the cancer plan basically will pay you for the activities associated with cancer. If you got to have a bone marrow transplant, or you need to try an experimental drug, or, I mean, there's so many different things, but they all have a monetary value attached to it.
Gotcha.
The critical illness policy is a lump sum policy. So if I would have had 50 grand, like I was supposed to have, because I was supposed to have spruced up my critical illness policy to 50 grand, but I didn't because I was penny pinching stupid. But that paid me 10 grand up front, cash money. But it would have paid me whatever I purchased.
Gotcha.
Now, the critical illness policy is probably the cheapest policy that you can get. And if you get it when you're young, you can get $50,000, $60,000 for next to nothing. And then it's an attained age policy. So whatever age you are when you got it, that price is locked in forever.
Okay.
So you get it young when you don't need it, it's cheap.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense though. So what I'm hearing is, one, is important to have insurance, and you can go a little bit deeper into why that is important. But then as you do that, I want to hear about the different types of insurance, because you said when you had just stroke, you named like maybe 4 different categories. So why is it important for us it's important for us to have insurance, but why is it important for just us not to just have basic insurance and to venture out and have all this coverage in case of whatever?
Okay. Where does the money come from if you can't work for 6 months?
Short-term disability, right?
If you don't have that,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I try to make it so basic to where you only go to work. Most of us exchange time for money, right? So the only reason why you're going to work is for a paycheck. Yeah. So what happens if you can't go to work? So when people say, I can't afford it, and you're working full time, if you can't afford it and you got a full-time job, what you think gonna happen if you can't work that job?
Good point.
Now, here's the kicker. If your health insurance is attached to your job and you miss more than 10 days normally, that's called a leave of absence. And your employer is no longer has to pay half of your health insurance. So now you're not working, and the health insurance that you're using just doubled.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I like to ask people, if you bought a car in the same year that you were born, how many times would you have changed out the spark plugs, the tires? Is that car even still running?
Yeah.
Because I was born in 71. So the car, in my analogy, is a classic, or about to be in October.
Okay. All right, we got a good question here, man.
Yes,
it
sir.
Says, it seems to be only beneficial to have a cancer plan if you get cancer. However, if you do not get cancer, it seems like money wasted. Also, can you get a cancer plan if you currently already have cancer?
No, you cannot get a cancer plan if you have cancer. An insurance company's job is to manage risk. So it's almost like you can't get an insurance policy on a person that's 80. No insurance company is going to. Well, if they do, you're going to pay an arm and a leg because that guy could die tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the insurance company is on the hook to pay. I hear that argument all the time. Ask her how many car accidents has she been in.
Well, she hear you. She hear you.
Okay. But she pay her car insurance every month, right? Do she complain about that wasted money?
Yeah. So it's better. It's better. It's like they will always say, kind of, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Now, what if it's not?
She said none. She never had no accident. You have froze up on me, Steve.
You froze up on me too. Sorry about that.
All right, now you good.
It's not necessarily you. Okay. My father got the cancer policy. He got cancer, but he was retired from the school system, and my mom was disabled from the military, so they didn't need money. That money was for me. So it might not be you to get the cancer, but if I'm on the hook to take care of you and you provide the money for me to be able to do that, who benefits from that? So your child could get cancer, your husband could get cancer. So
now the cancer plans is there such thing as like a family cancer plan, or it all has to be on the individuals?
No,
So if nobody has cancer already, has been diagnosed with cancer, you could get a family cancer plan, which if anybody does get it, it'll apply for all the members of that family.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And
Yes,
she said
sir.
for the record, like that wasn't a complaint. She was just asking like the difference. You know what I mean? But that brings me to another interesting question too. In your opinion, why is it that it's mandatory? It's not optional whether or not we have car insurance. Why is it optional not that we have life insurance?
It should be mandatory.
Because at the end of the day, we the ones that benefit from us if anything does happen.
Right. And then, we're only talking about a very small responsibility for life insurance. Everybody's going to die, so that's easy. All you got to do is die. And it's over for you. But what about the people that you leave behind?
Yeah.
You got a wife, you got a kid.
The mortgage and all of that.
When you die, your paycheck die too. So
when you got an insurance policy
on this podcast.
No, so anybody that has insurance though, that's a safety net, so to speak. So where even if you living from check to check, which most people don't want to admit, if you living from check to check, if you got a solid insurance policy, at least your kids are taken care of for the next 6 months to a year, where they ain't got to figure out, you know what I mean?
It depends on how you structure it. You know what I'm saying? Because rich people don't get insurance for the death benefit. They get it because in certain types of policies, the money compounds daily, compound interest. So they use it and they dump a lot of money into it, and then they take the money out, which is kind of like being your own bank. And then they go purchase some land or something, and they make the return on the investment. They put the money back, and then it resets, and then they can do it again. So, I mean, it's so much that you can do. I'd rather borrow money from me than to borrow money from the bank, where they're going to charge me a higher interest rate.
Gotcha.
So just imagine if you put $100 away for your daughter who was 1, by the time she's 20, she could have $20,000, $30,000 in there. What can't she do? My goal is to keep my nephews off the block and my daughter off the pole.
Yeah,
so
as a parent,
if I can provide money to where it's still on the table, drugs and stripping, but they're so far removed.
Yeah,
because
it's not your only
down
option.
Payment.
Yeah,
if she needed down payment on an apartment or a car, she could borrow the money from herself, do what she need to do, pay herself back, it reset. She want to do something else, borrow the money from herself. I mean, so it's so much that you can do with insurance. And if it's more likely or not to happen, can you tell me that you're not going to have a heart attack? Can you tell me that you're not going to get cancer? Can you tell me that you're not going to get in a car accident? No.
Yeah, we don't know.
Don't know. So I covered all my options because the blind side, those hits hurt.
Gotcha.
So what I've seen is that if you got disability and accident, you might have a heart attack. Or if you got critical illness and accident, you'll get cancer. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah.
So if you cover everything, better safe than sorry. I was always taught as a young man, it's better to have a condom and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Yeah.
So.
What she says? She says, there are so many other illnesses that could possibly be covered. So why be so specific? Never thought about keeping someone off the pole with the insurance money. I guess what you yeah, what is the importance of having the different ones? And another question I have for you, because it sounds like what you're saying is it's not only important to have insurance on you, But if you have a newborn, why not go ahead and just put, like you say, put $100 down, you know what I mean, and see what it do.
You know how hard it is to save money? Right.
Hard.
You know how hard it is to save money right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's already being done for you, because first of all, you're protecting your child's insurability, right? Because kids get sick too. So, and then it's gonna be dirt cheap.
Because they're newborn.
And the price is locked in. You know, so, and for the Bible people, I thought we were supposed to take care of our kids, not our kids. And the only way to do that is if I have $100,000 policy on my daughter, and it's a whole life policy, so it's accumulating cash. She will probably never have to touch that. So that's the inheritance
to the grand
for my grandkids.
Yeah.
So the generational curse is going to stop with Stephen Thomas Marshall.
Gotcha.
There will be
like
no more
that.
broke people from my lineage when I check out.
Gotcha.
So the question is, what are you leaving? Bills or wheels? Oh, well, that sounds good, don't it?
That sound like some bars.
What? Bills? No, but just think about it.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Or wheels. We know what the bills look like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find out what the other side looks like. Let's
have to go go see the lawyer to talk about estates after the funeral.
Sign some affidavits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not Dale. Stop calling me. He dead.
Yeah.
You know?
It makes sense. So, and we don't, I really feel like we don't have these conversations enough. You know what I'm saying? But
we don't.
Beforehand. You know what I mean? So again, though, like you said, why be so specific when you're talking about the different policies?
Because all of my policies have jobs. The disability is going to cover my paycheck whether I get sick or I get hurt. Okay? The accident is going to cover outside trauma.
Okay.
I could put the critical illness and the cancer together, but from what I've seen, I saw how the cancer plan solely paid out, and I saw how the critical illness paid out. So if I would have had one policy with the critical illness and the cancer together, and I got cancer like my father did, I would have only got 10 grand because it would have made the policy more expensive. So cancer is its own animal.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So if my father would have lived, say, 2 more years, he probably would have got $100,000 because it's based on the activities that you do. So I'm just hedging my bet. I smoke. So, you know, I could get cancer.
Gotcha.
You know?
So pretty much what I hear is better off to have go ahead and get you a band instead of just a piano player. You know what I mean? You got more options when you got a full band and a singer, four musicians and a singer versus just having a singer going a cappella or a drummer by himself.
Don't the old school church people say you got to be covered with the blood of Jesus?
Yeah.
That when they say covered, they ain't talking about partially covered, right? They talk about completely covered, right? To cover something means to. So I am covered completely.
Gotcha. I like that. It would definitely depend on your income to have all these policies in effect. And that brings me to my next question. But I was going to say, like, somebody's watching this, right? It was like, it sound good, and I would like to do all of that there, but what you're talking about has to at least be an extra $250, $300 a week or a paycheck, whatever it can be. Let's get into some of the numbers.
Okay, hear me out. Back in the day, we used to build stereos. We couldn't afford the Sony, but we go to the pawn shop and we get pieces, right? A piece at a time, right? That's how you do your insurance. You get what's most important and what's more important. Because the thing is, if you can't afford it, then it's worthless. Because you're going to cancel it. And then the event that you didn't think was going to happen is still going to happen. So making it affordable is very important. So what I do is we ain't got to hit a home run, but if we hit a single and get on base, we on base. We in the game. So the most important benefit in my mind is disability, because if you can't work, where does the money come from? So if that's all you can afford, that's what you get on this sit.
Okay.
Now, I'm an agent that is active in his client's life. So we have a relationship. So depending upon how we met, was it through your job or was it individually? If it's through your job, they have open enrollment every year. So every year, see, most people don't sit down for the open enrollment. I'm good. I know how insurance works. No, you don't. No, you don't.
I was guilty of that for many years.
No, you don't. You have no idea. Because if you did, you'd already have the insurance when you were younger because it was cheaper.
And you locked into that price, like you say.
But you know what's going on.
Yeah.
So, so you piece it together as you see fit. So I don't sell, I educate. And once I educate you, we pick out the most important thing. Where are the biggest holes? We plug those and we leave. And then next year, everyone should review their insurance twice a year, every 6 months, because you could have got married. You could have bought a house. You could have had a baby. You could have lost your job. Like, all these things happen. So those people who say, yeah, I got insurance, but I don't know what it is, they haven't reviewed their policy. Why would you pay for something that you don't know what it is?
Yeah, makes sense.
So
let's see. Age makes the difference. Yeah, absolutely. Age is crucial as well.
Think about it like this. I'm about to be 50 in October the 28th. Scorpio, baby. Woo, woo.
Okay, mine 18.
And
you just missed us Libras.
And the insurance companies look at age like this. When you get to 50, you're at the top of the hill. Ain't nowhere else to go but down. So if you don't have any life insurance by 50, it's only going to get more expensive. Think about it. They're managing risk. So I haven't died yet, so I'm going to die soon.
The older I get, the closer I am to death. Every day you wake up, you closer to death than you were to your birth.
Right. So now I'm at the Mason-Dixon line. I'm at the halfway point.
Gotcha.
So do I got another 50 in there? I have no idea. But in the insurance company's eyes, I'm going to charge you more because you're going to die sooner or later. And we don't know when that's going to happen.
So in terms of numbers, let's say you take out a 50,000 toward disability, like you say. What's the breakdown of that?
Well, see, disability is based off of your income. So if you make a lot of money, then it's going to cost you, right? But there are ways to make the policy cheaper. All right, in health insurance, the deductible makes the monthly price fluctuate. So the higher the deductible, the lower the monthly premium. And the lower the deductible, the higher the monthly premium.
Okay.
With disability, the quicker it starts, the more it costs. The later in the future it starts, the less it costs. So if we're talking group insurance from your job, they'll give you 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months worth of coverage, and you can pick 0 days for an accident and 7 days for a sickness. That means if you have an accident, there's no waiting period. If you're sick, you have to be sick for at least 7 days. That's going to be the most expensive because it's starting very quick. Then you can go 0-14, 0-30, 7-7, 14-14, or 30-30.
Now,
So
what's the difference between a
those are
7-30 versus
All
0-30 versus 7-7?
All right. 0 is for accident, and say 30 means you have to be sick for at least 30 days before this policy will kick out.
Okay.
So the later in the future it starts, the less it's going to cost. And you don't have to max out the policy. Something is better than nothing. I don't oversell anything because I would much rather you be a client and you have some protection than no protection, because I'm trying to hit the home run. I'm just trying to hit fingers. Make you a client. We develop a rapport. We continue to talk. Next year, things are a little bit better. We add another policy. Next year, steps.
Now, is it hard to change policies? Like you said, with open, you got the open enrollment at work. But if you're talking about something outside of that, somebody comes to you, you do a consultation with them, and you guys decide something. Okay, this is what I want to work out. Because what I'm hearing is it's sort of like not many people have had this pleasure, or I'm not sure who has, but it's like my home. Like I have my house built from like the ground up. So when you talking to the builders, it's like, okay, all right, well, yeah, this sound good, this sound good, this sound good here, but I ain't trying to pay no $5,000 a month in mortgage either. So let me find out what's more important. I want to make sure that my laundry room is upstairs, so I ain't got to keep coming downstairs, bringing my clothes downstairs to do much. Since everybody pretty much stays upstairs, I want to make sure that I got a hot tub in a jacuzzi in my bathroom, because that's gonna be that much harder to add on down the line. Now I could change my own railing if I want.
It's the order of operations.
Okay.
Right. All right. So if you don't have disability and you miss and you can't work for 6 months, you're either going to go back to work early, which is going to cause a bigger problem, and you're going to be out of work longer. You have to borrow some money, you have to do something strange for some change. I mean, where does the money come from? Like, and until you're in that situation, you really don't know. Oh, well, my husband had got it. What if your husband got laid off, then you got sick? You know what I mean? So most insurance agents will try to sell you life insurance because that's where we make the most money. I make less money selling disability, but that's what you need. Because if I provide the money for you to survive, any other policy that you got, you keep it. Because I helped you provide. I helped you provide. Because I thought about you first instead of myself.
Now let me ask you this: Is it a state thing? Like you got the Marshall Group. So is it that you can only do insurance here in North Carolina, or okay?
I'm licensed in 16 states, about to be 17.
Okay.
Now each policy is different per state, because each state has a insurance department that governs that state and how the insurance policies work.
Okay. All right. So man, listen, man. Hey, we definitely got to do this again, man, because I don't feel like we learned enough for the intricacies. We learned the importance of it, but let me know when you can do this again so we can get a little bit more in depth of, like I said, more of the numbers. Like I said, I think a lot of people say it sounds good, but I can't afford an extra $200 a week coming out of my check. You know what I mean? Is it in reality, is it like closer to $200, or is it like $58?
Depends on your age. It depends on what you get. The one thing I know about people, they can afford to do whatever they choose to.
Absolutely.
So I don't, because the same person who says that got a Gucci belt and Gucci flip-flops, and Mr. Yankee #9 paid $500. I mean, no, during the recession, the hair business did not have a recession. And that's us, right? That's us. The whole world is in a recession, but they still going to get their hair done, but they can't afford
if they was open.
Dog, look, I ain't trying to hurt nobody's feelings,
Uh-huh.
but I'm gonna keep it 100. Like the old cat say, your slip showing. Don't tell me you can't afford nothing, because you can get whatever you want when you want
it. That's true.
Because I know of some people on this live right now that they went to the club with their light bill money and said, I'm gonna figure it out later. Because I got actually a month before they really cut it off. So I got 2 months. Come on, man, stop it. Stop it. And then they go on, GoFundMe has buried more people than anything. But they begging. And I'm gonna tell you like this, and I'm not trying to be mean. Mm-hmm. If I see a GoFundMe on your Facebook, I'm gonna go to your Facebook and I'm gonna look at it. If you got a Gucci belt, some Gucci flip-flops, and you got rims, and you've been on the cruise, you already spent your funeral money and y'all on your own.
I hear you, yo.
I work hard for what I got, and because you decided to party all night long, I'm supposed to suffer.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to come out of my pocket because you lived your best life, YOLO. And I mean, what? Yeah. Now, if your child died, which is the unnatural order of operations, that's completely different. Unexpected accident, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you didn't turned up and then I put my money where my mouth is. And most of us only have to show up to work and we get paid. I got all this and I got to kill what I keep. I'm on the safari. I'm on the savannah like a lion by myself. You know what I'm saying? Not somebody paying me. I'm spinning my own wheel. So if I can do it, I turn my cable off right now before I cancel my insurance.
That's good. That's good. Well, man, I appreciate it, man. How can the people get in touch? Is your page public? Stephen Marshall?
Yes, sir. My page is public. Stephen Marshall. You can go to Marshall Group NC, as in North Carolina.com. Friend me on Facebook, Stephen Marshall, Jacksonville, North Carolina. I'm licensed in 16 states. Most of the ones that are close and a few out, Texas, Arizona, Michigan, so Kentucky.
You got us covered in Jersey?
Florida. Huh?
You got us covered in Jersey?
I'm about to, because I got a connect up there that I'm about to help do some stuff. So I have to be licensed in order to do that. So that's probably going to be by the end of the year or sooner if I have to, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, a conversation is all that we're going to have. I'm going to educate you on my philosophy, and I've already tested it out. So I know it works. The one thing I will say is that my timing is impeccable. I have talked to people, and a month after we talked, that person had a stroke or an accident, and they got paid because they followed the instructions. So, I'm good at what I do, and I'm not just tooting my own horn. I'm good at what I do is because I care about the after effects. If you get hurt, sick, or you die, I'll be at the funeral if possible, and your family can call me and I'll help them through that process. So I'm reachable.
No doubt.
I don't take your money, bounce. I earn my stuff.
Yeah. So again, all you guys that's tuning in, and even as you go back and watch this show on the YouTube channel later when it gets uploaded to YouTube, or you go back to my page and watch it again, it's Stephen Marshall. Send them a friend request and hit them up in the DMs or whatever. If you have any more questions concerning these things, even if you just want a consultation, like you said, or a blueprint, or start at the very basic level, I would encourage you to reach out to him, because he gave us a lot of good information, but he also has more information that's tailor-made for you. So
I review policies for free. So if you got a policy and you don't know what it is, I don't charge a fee to have a conversation about something that I love. So if you need some information, holler at your boy. And it's Stephen T. Marshall. The T stands for talented.
All right, so that's Stephen T. Marshall on Facebook or the Marshall Group NC.com.
Yeah, the Marshall Group NC.com.
Okay. All right, y'all check him out. What's good, Tone? Tone just tuned in. He said, glad we got together. We are too, man. You know what I'm saying?
What's up,
family,
White?
family, that's how we do, yo, man. But thanks again, man. Thank you for this last minute audible. You came in, you dropped the triple double, and I appreciate it, bro.
For all that, hey, look, I appreciate it because I love us. And we got to do a better job of especially the men. The men are the worst. And they always say, I don't want to leave her with a whole bunch of insurance money so she could be good with the next man. You dead, dude. Why are you concerned? But if you do it right, you can't be replaced.
And on that note, we're going to leave with that food for thought, man. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate all you guys. I love all you guys. Congratulations again to Leandre and Legina Bennett. Welcome to the family. Love you guys.
When you get married, your insurance needs change.
Okay. See, so that's why we're gonna have to definitely do a part 2, so we can get all these little nuances out the way and get a little bit more in depth rather.
Okay.
But love you guys, man. And next week I'll see you guys same time, same on the page. And until then, DeAndre and Lysha, know that I love you intentionally, but I also love you unconditionally. So next week, peace.